We are live, guys. Welcome back to the Conquerors crew. It is January the 21st. It's actually kind of a special day to me, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Man, you guys know how the crew is. We've been doing the show on X since last April. Every Wednesday, every hump is what we do, and we're expanding out. That's what you do as you grow. And we're about three principles, man. They are hope, helping other people excel, grit, grace, resiliency, integrity, and always remain teachable, and courage. Courage. We like the kind of courage where it's not real cocky. It kind of likes to sit in the back corner and just be steady and calm and know that, it's all going to be good. So those are our three pillars, and, we've kind of developed those over some time. And, this is a safe space, a happy space. It's about kindness and respect for others. No one's trying to convince anybody of their religious views or their side or their politics or anything like that. The only thing we want to do is we want to try to move forward together, conquer our issues, conquer our day. That's what we're about. Just winning today. Grit, don't quit. And, man, I got an awesome guy here today, y'all. Wesley Farnsworth. Is that how you say the last name, Farnsworth?
You got it.
Yes. All right, man. This guy's awesome. Man, he's been in the service. He's a veteran and done several things, photography, and he's an author. He's a speaker. He's a communication professional, and I think his dad was a pastor, and I believe that he does a bit of teaching from the pulpit now as well. So, Wesley, man, hey, glad to have you. Thanks for letting me get on with the interview, man. How are you today, man? Tell me about it.
Man, I'm doing great. It's good to be with you. I've been looking forward to this since we set it up.
Awesome, man. Because we were what right kind of towards the end of the year, I think, weren't we?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. That, man, it really blew up for me. Have you been on the talks.co? Is that a normal connection for you, or is that pretty new for you?
Yeah, I've been on there a little bit. I haven't not a ton. Okay. I do a lot of my podcast stuff through another service called Matchmaker.
Okay. Yep.
But I'm on a few different ones where I check in periodically, and I love the art of podcasting and the ability to be able to share your story with such a large audience.
Yeah, man.
From the comfort of your home in some ways.
Yeah, man. And hey, dude, your setup looks good, man. You got your book in the background. We got our on air. We're on air. I love that. And you've got a podcast going on as well. So I don't know if you saw, I got a few adverts that I put out. I wasn't able to connect with you on some of them. We are friends on, I think, Facebook and LinkedIn. But hey, after the show, I'm gonna put, I'll back advertise this a bit, and everything. So it'll be all good, man. It'll be all good. So man, just, I'm from the South. Okay. And, we like to know where you're from and where you're about and who you are, and, paint a little picture for us, because, on X, there, we didn't have video. So it's kind of a X Space is like a glorified kind of radio show, really. And that's what you do. You can post stuff up and live, and when you're live, and pictures and clips and things, but don't really do the recording. So it just kind of gives people an idea of who you are and what you're about. Got the floor.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of share my story. So like, as you mentioned, I grew up as a pastor's kid. My dad was a full-time evangelist, which, if you're not familiar with the term evangelist, an evangelist is a pastor, but instead of pastoring one church, he traveled and he would speak at whatever church would have him. And he did that pretty much my entire early childhood. up until right about the time I became a teenager, at which point he came off the road in order to be around us a little bit more and to be a part of our lives a little bit more regularly than he was when he was traveling. Um,
Wow.
and so that was just kind of how I was brought up. I've been brought up in the church for as long as I can remember. Uh, I
Okay.
jokingly say it was a family business. My dad was in the ministry, my mom was in the ministry in several ways. And I would joke, if the doors were open, we were there. Even if it was a janitor cleaning and sweeping, we were there. And so
I hear you.
I've always been in the church. Um, but because of that, and because of kind of my upbringing, um, I now know, looking back, they say hindsight is 2020. I now know, looking back at my childhood and my teen years, that I was putting some undue pressure on myself.
Okay.
I felt the need to act a certain way, to say certain things, to do certain things, because I wanted to reflect positively on my parents. I wanted to reflect positively on the church that we were a part of, and really to reflect positively on God. And so, as a result of this pressure, I became what I lovingly refer to as a master chameleon. And
Master
chameleon.
chameleon. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yep.
So
I
I
got an idea what that is.
I became very good at blending in,
Okay.
and I could carry on and have small talk with the best of them. And most of the time, that served me well. But it also led to some problems, because as you become the chameleon, you become good at blending in. You become a people pleaser, or in recovery circles, we call it codependency. Um, and essentially, codependency is caring more about what other people think of you than what you think about yourself, or more importantly, what God thinks about you.
Right.
Um, and so
Yeah.
I really developed some codependency, and so that
Was
led
that
me.
kind of like acceptance? You just wanted acceptance from
Yep.
people and wanted to be liked and fit in and that kind of thing?
Exactly, exactly. I wanted
Yeah.
to be liked and fit in with everybody. If I was working, I wanted to be a part of the in crowd. I didn't want to be the person on the
Okay.
outside looking in, wishing I was a part of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Would one person ruin your day? Like you know how you just can't please everybody, right? And it's a bit of a it's kind of you kind of you spin out, don't you?
I mean, yeah, it sometimes it was one person. Most of the time, it was just anywhere you go, there's kind of this clique, if you will. There's this
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
clique of people that you can tell, like, they're the people that the larger group kind of revolve around.
Yeah.
And I always just wanted to be a part of that if I could. I wanted to, or at least be accepted by them, because if I was accepted by them, then I would be accepted most likely by the larger group. Um, and so I just became very good at blending in. And so this carried over into friendships that I had. I developed some friendships, and that ultimately led to me going out with some friends one day, and they from work, and we were out just hanging out. And they started joking, and they started just they shared this term, and they all just started joking, and they were like, ha 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 ha, and going back and forth and
Oh,
having
like
some fun
is it like
banter.
teenagers hanging out and they
Yeah,
yeah, and they knew some words that you didn't quite know yet, kind of thing? Is that kind of
yeah,
this? Okay. Okay.
that's about right. As a
Okay. Yeah.
teenagers, young, early adults, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So they're just bantering, they're joking, they're having fun, and I'm out, and I'm laughing along with them, pretending like I know what they're talking about because
Oh,
I want to fit in.
the
Um,
chameleon.
exactly, but on the inside, I'm going, don't ask me anything, don't ask me anything, right? Because if you do, I'm going to be found out. I couldn't bluff it if I wanted to because I had no clue. I was clueless. Um, Luckily, they didn't. And later that night, I went home, and I was like, "Man, I don't wanna be put in that situation again," right? I don't wanna go out there
Right.
and be caught, don't want terms like that to come up again and not know what it is. And so I decided I was going to get online and do some research so that I could be in a position to blend in better. Um,
Gotcha.
and unfortunately, um, the term that they used was one of an adult nature,
Okay.
um, and it it opened up this world of adult entertainment or pornography.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and
Okay.
so that ultimately led to the start of a 20-year addiction.
Whoa.
Um,
Okay.
and so I struggled with it for many, many years. You know, I would try and quit on my own, and I would have success for a little while, and then for one reason or another, I'd go back to it. Um, and
And was this
so
do you mind if I ask you just a couple, not, I mean, not too in depth, but is it like, was it, I mean, I assume it was just, like magazines at first, right? Because that's what kids kind of usually get a hold of. Well, when we were kids. And then did it progress into, watching videos or buying videos or, going to, I don't know, places to watch it. I'm just kind of asking a little bit, and I don't want you feeling comfortable. I'm just kind of trying to, kind of put the story together for people that are listening and they
yeah,
can, yeah.
yeah, no, there was never any magazines. There was never
Okay.
any going out and buying stuff or anything like that. I had the internet. It was dial up, but um, it was reliable enough that I was a kid that was on a mission, and I was gonna figure out what was going on,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and so I was able to find what I needed to cure my curiosity. We'll just say it like that. Um,
I mean,
and
was
so
there like this major guilt that you had because you're part of a religious family, and I assume examples to the community, and is it something you hid from everybody, or
oh,
did any,
absolutely.
yeah,
It,
not a
it,
single person, just
it
yourself,
was,
right?
yep, it was just me, myself, and I that knew about it.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Wow.
I was always very careful. I was very good at hiding it and covering my tracks, if you will.
Right.
And I wasn't going to tell anybody. I knew and at some level that it was wrong.
Right.
But when you're a teenager and that type of thing, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily care that much because
Right.
you
Sure.
know
Yeah.
you're curious and your hormones are full rage.
Absolutely,
Um,
man. And
and
yeah,
so
you don't even know how to deal with all that. So you're just trying to figure yourself out too, right? When
e-
it's
e-
when you're that age. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, this led to the start of this addiction. And like I said, for a long time I would try and quit, kind of on and off. Um, and so this led,
Can I ask you? Can I ask you about quitting? Would you just be like, "I'm setting a date, and tomorrow I'm stopping," or what? Or would something happen, and maybe you get a guilty? You kind of really start feeling really convicted, or maybe something that is said at church that wasn't directed to you, and you're like, "Gosh," like, and then you feel bad, and then you're okay for a couple days, and then, well, you just get a weak moment and you go back. Right? Is that
yeah,
kind
that's
of how it was? Did you try cold
pretty,
turkey, or did you like, I'm gonna wean myself off of it, or
no, that was pretty much it. It would typically be either something that was preached at church or
okay,
just a conviction from the Holy Spirit, just like, hey, this is wrong, don't do this anymore.
sure, man,
Um,
yeah,
and so I would try and quit, and I would just do a cold turkey because there's not really a way to wean yourself off of that stuff, right? You just got to just stop.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and so that's what I did. And I would, like I said, I would find success for a while. Each time was kind of a varying length. It just depended on what was going on in my life as to how
right,
long it worked.
yeah,
But the problem was, is I was trying to do it all myself.
okay,
You
yeah,
know, I was even though I was quitting and I was eliminating it from my life, um, I never told anybody what was going on. I was trying to do it all myself. I
yeah.
was trying to play the flesh, and I was trying to play God,
Yes.
and do it all myself.
Were you? Did you feel like what do you think the problem was, like, that you didn't have the ability to control it, as in, like, it had a bit of it had a little bit of, it had control on you where you didn't feel like you could say no to it, and that led to like this guilty, the guilt and that it's sinful, right? That it's like it has more control over me than I have of it, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and it absolutely does have control over you when you're in it. It
Sure.
alters the way that you think, it alters the
Yeah.
way that you act in some ways. And so yeah, it definitely had that. And because I wasn't talking about it, like I said, it kept this secret, or it kept this hold on your life. I've come to realize now that um well, I'll get to this in a second. Let me,
Sure, man. Yeah.
I wanna build up to this point that I was just gonna make.
Okay.
Um, so I tried quitting for many times, and about fast forward to about 2019 or so, and I'm sitting in church, and, from the stage, they announced that they're gonna start this ministry in the church, called Celebrate Recovery. And, uh, as they're sitting there and they're explaining it,
Okay.
the first thing that comes to mind when they said "Celebrate Recovery" was like, "Well, that sounds great." I'm sure there's people in the church that need it, but that's not me, because when you think recovery, you think drugs, alcohol, right?
Right.
That's what you think
12
of when you
steps.
think recovery. When you think
12 steps
recovery groups.
Christian style.
And, but they go on to explain this group, in more detail,
Okay.
talking about how it is a Christ-centered 12-step recovery program.
Okay. Yeah.
However, it is for anybody with any kind of a hurt, any kind of a habit, any kind of a hang up. In other words, if you're alive and you're breathing and you're human, it's for you, because it
Cool.
can be literally anything from, the desire to stop picking your nose, to you hate the color blue, to you love cheeseburgers, to, you just got out of a bad relationship, or
Yeah.
your grandma died, or your pet died, or whatever, anything.
Interesting.
Um,
Can you tell me if it kind of works for all those? How does the framework fit to bring all those things together like that?
It's 100% biblically based, and it's all based on, the Beatitudes,
Okay.
which is what I love about it, is because, when you think about recovery programs, you think, like I said, of programs like AA or NA or SA that are out there, and they're focused on a specific topic, where, Celebrate Recovery doesn't focus on a specific topic. But the thing that differs us from them, is it is for anybody.
Okay.
Um, they all reference a higher power in their materials.
Okay.
In Celebrate Recovery, we also reference a higher power, but in Celebrate Recovery, our higher power is Jesus Christ,
Right.
and that's we don't leave that open to interpretation.
Right.
Um, And so that's really some of the big ways that we differ. They're talking about this from the stage. And the more they talked about it, the more I was like, man, maybe I should go check this out. I could feel this stirring in my spirit. This is
Yeah.
something you need to do. Um, and so for a while, I kind of wrestled with this. Like, do I want to go? Because now, if I go to this meeting, now people are going to know that I am not perfect, right? This mask that I have been wearing for so long, that I was fine, right? I was perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Would have to come off. I'd have to admit that I wasn't perfect. Um, and so eventually I kind of got the courage, like, okay, I'm gonna go check it out, is what I told myself. So I pulled into the parking lot. I had this back and forth argument with myself. The enemy is sitting there. The devil's kind of on my shoulder, if you will. He's sitting there and he's telling me all these lies that he'd been telling me for years. That if you go in, nobody's going to understand. Nobody's going to accept you. They're going to when you
Right.
tell them why you're there, they're going to ask you to leave. And there's he painting the worst case scenario that you could
Right.
possibly imagine.
Right.
Um, and so eventually I was like, "No, I need to go in, right? I've tried to do this enough on my own. I'm not finding success. I need to go in." And so I did. But I told myself, you know what? I'm going to go in, I'm going to sit in the back row. I won't really talk to anybody. I'll sit through the meeting, and then I can leave and I can say that I tried it and it wasn't for me. I was giving myself an out.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Obviously, that didn't work out for me because I'm now a leader in Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's awesome.
I go in and I'm sitting down and everyone's really friendly and accepting and loving and everything like that. And it gets to the end of the large group time and they announce that they have this class for people that are there for the first time, where you can just find out more about the ministry and what to expect and that type of stuff.
Okay.
Uh, and I realize I'm the only one there that's new. And so I was like, you know what? I'll go check it out. Um, I happen to know, the guy that was leading it. So,
Okay.
um,
Cool.
so I go check out this course or this class, excuse me. And, during it, I'm asked, what brings you in tonight? And, immediately I said, without missing a beat, codependency. Now, at this time, I had never even heard the term codependency. Until that night, I heard it shared from the stage and kind of explained like I explained it earlier, and I said,
Okay.
"Hey, that's me." Um, and so I was like, "Well, that seems a lot less threatening and a lot less worse than what I was really there for," so I threw it out there.
Right.
Um,
Okay. The
and
lesser of two evils.
exactly,
Yeah, man.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and he says, "Okay." And he stops and he turns and he reaches over and he starts to pick up the binder for leaders, to kind of see what the next thing was. And he as he's picking it up, he stops and he looks back at me and he says, "Is there anything else?" Now, as a leader, I can tell you he had zero reason to ask that because it's not in the curriculum anywhere to ask this question. But he did. It had prompting from spirit. That's the only way to
That's
explain
what
it.
I was gonna ask you. You think the
Uh,
spirit did that? Yeah.
and so he asks this, and before I even knew what was happening, I just start sobbing and I blurt out before, I like to think of it like, um, I was on the outside looking in, trying to catch the words as they're coming out of my mouth. And I'm just sitting here and I start sobbing and I blurt out the secret that I've been holding on to for so long.
Oh, man. How many
Um,
years did you hold that like that, buddy?
that was about 20 years before this
Wow,
night.
you kept a secret like that, man.
And so as I'm blurting this out and I'm sobbing, I'm now bracing myself.
Right.
I am bracing myself for everything that the enemy had told me was gonna happen.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And it was the complete opposite thing that
Right.
happened.
The lies, right? The lies.
Instead of rejection, I was accepted. Instead of,
Wow.
and I was loved and uh, I was just welcomed. And, that night, that night, a switch was flipped in my head and my road to recovery began, and I've been clean since. Um,
Wow.
and but to get back to the question earlier,
Yeah.
um, is, the scripture tells us that, we need to confront the exact nature of our wrongs to another human being. And I didn't have success for so long
Yeah.
because I was holding everything in and I was keeping it all to myself. So the only person that I was going to let down when I relapsed was myself.
Right.
And now I had accountability. I had somebody else that knew what I was struggling with. And so,
And
I now
support.
exactly, and now
Yeah.
I had support and I had community. I
Yeah,
had a
man.
I had a community of people now that I could be honest with,
Yeah.
that I could support, but they could support me, and I found my community, my healthy
Yeah.
community. I talk
What part of the country do you live in? Are you from? Do you still live around that area? I'm just curious. I
no,
mean,
I've
I
been,
kind of know, but I mean, I know. I
yeah,
think yeah.
yeah. At that point, I was living in Ohio,
Okay.
but I'm
Okay.
no longer there. I've moved since then.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah. So, but in that night,
When you grew up, did you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where'd you grow up? Kind of, until Ohio, I guess.
yeah, I was born and raised in Michigan.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah. So that night, I kind of found I refer to as my positive community.
Cool, man. Yeah.
There's two different types of community. You've got your positive and your negative.
Yeah.
And we can talk about those here in a little bit. If you want to explore that, I'm happy to dig in and explain
Yeah.
those. Um, but so now I'm a part of this community, and I'm going, and uh, I attend one of my first CR meetings, and while I'm going, it was a testimony night. And as I'm sitting in the crowd, the person giving their testimony shares something, and we broke up into our small open share groups. Um, we went in, and it got to my time to share, and I was like, man, guys, I heard the testimony, and it just brought the scene of movie to my mind. And the specific scene that I'm referencing is a scene where the young boy is sitting on the side of the road with his dad and a whole bunch of other people, and there's this parade going down the road, and in the parade is all the knights, and they're all done up, and they're all their armor is shiny and everything. And the boy says, "Dad, I want to be like that one day." Now the dad, doing like any good father would, was like, "Absolutely, you can do anything you want, son. Like, the world is your oyster." But of course, there's a guy nearby, like you would expect, that has to give his unwanted 2 cents. And the guy's like, "You can't do that. You can't change your stars. You're a peasant boy, and that's what you will always be as a peasant. You
Mm,
can't change your stars." And this scene just kept replaying in my head
okay.
over and over and over again. Um, and I couldn't figure out why. And as I'm talking about it and I'm sharing it and we're having this conversation, the scene started kind of morphing in my head, if you will. And God began speaking to me and telling me, Wes, when you're going through life, you are that peasant boy. When you're struggling with things, you are that peasant boy. And as you move on, and you turn your life over to me, and you accept me as your savior, and you turn over those things that you're struggling with to me, you go from peasant boy to royalty. You change your stars, and you become a part of my family. um and so the story is now replaying in my head, and instead of the scene from the movie, it's being kind of transformed in my mind.
Yeah.
And so as that's transforming, um, the this new idea of stars begins to form in my head.
Okay.
And when sailors are out sailing, they use stars to navigate, right?
Hmm.
They to make sure that they stay on course.
Yeah.
Um, and as I'm so now I'm sitting here, I've got this scene of stars, or this idea of stars percolating in my head. I've got the scene from the movie that's now being transformed and kind of reworked in my mind. Um, and I'm like, changing my stars and galaxy. How does this fit together, and why are they coming together in my head?
Right.
Um, and that's kind of the basis for my book. Um,
Okay.
so the book, The Blueprint of Becoming: A Practical Guide to Faith, Failure, and Finding Your Way Forward. It came out in October, and in it, I share my personal testimony.
Cool.
And then we navigate scripture, and we look at some stories of people that were used by God despite their past. People that by worldly standards we would say are not qualified, But when you look at their stories and how God used them, you go, yeah, they're qualified. But by today's standards, we'd be like, no way. Even back then, they probably were like, you're nuts. Um, but they didn't let the things that they had been through define them.
Yeah.
They when you think about your life, every action that you take, every thought that you have, every job that you have, every relationship you have, everything about you is a star. It's a star in your life, the constellation that is your life. And how you navigate your life depends on what or who your North Star is.
Okay.
When sailors navigate the water, they use the North Star to ensure that they get to where they're gonna go.
Right.
Well, when we navigate life, if our North Star isn't God, then our life is gonna get off course, and we're not gonna be able to walk in the blueprint of becoming that He has put out for our life.
Right.
And so, sometimes you have to alter course a little bit to make sure that your life is realigned with the true North Star to ensure that you're navigating life properly.
Yeah.
And so that's what we talk about in the book is people that have walked that road, have navigated their life by their North Star. And then I give practical tools that you can use to examine your life.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
And figure out, maybe what it is that might need to be altered in order to realign yourself.
Okay.
But one thing that I've learned in Celebrate Recovery is the importance of community. You have to be able to be vulnerable with people. You have to be willing and able to be able to share what it is that you're going through or have gone through. And so as I'm writing this book and I finish it up and it's getting ready to publish, I really just felt this nudge that, hey, this needs to be more than just a book. And so I wrote a discussion guide, if you will,
Okay.
that a study.
Okay.
And so if you go out to my website, wesleyfarnsworth.com /
Say that again for us again. Can you tell us again what is it?
wesleyfarnsworth.com / start. If you go out there, right now it's the only way you can find this, wesleyfarnsworth.com / start. Go out there and you can download this participants guide or this study guide. And because of I value in community so much, I have two guides there that you download as a bundle. One's a leader's guide and one is a participants guide. And you're able to go out there, download it, and now you can go through it with a friend or a couple of friends, and you go through the book chapter by chapter. It turns the book into a 10-week study. I provide the study completely free.
Cool.
And you go out there and you go through this week by week. And now, as you're going through it, if God reveals something that you need to work on, now you have a community right there with you that's going through it with you that you can say, hey, here's what I feel like I need to work on. And now they can support you. And likewise, your friends can come to you and be like, hey, here's what I need to work on. And now you can support them. And you have a community now that you can walk and do life with.
Right.
So that's kind of the basis for the book, and it's available on paperback and ebook wherever books are sold. And so the book is out, and it came out in October, and November comes around, and as November comes around, I kind of feel God telling me like, hey, now it's time to start talking a little bit more about your story.
Okay.
And I'm like, I've already put it out there in book format for everybody to read. Like, what else could I do?
Right.
So I start doing podcasts in the October timeframe to kind of talk about the book.
Sure. Cool.
And he's like, his now you're going to do a podcast. And I said, you want me to do what? and he's like, you're going to do a podcast. And I was like, oh, okay. But I'm like, God, like, and I said, God, I've been unemployed since April 1st,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's now November,
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
and I'm like, podcasts, they're not free to do,
Right.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, God, if you want this, I'm game, but you have to provide.
Okay.
Um, and if there's one thing I've learned in life is you don't challenge God. And the next day I walked in to a Celebrate Recovery meeting. Actually, I walked into a Celebrate Recovery meeting,
Okay.
and one of the leaders comes up and she hands me this envelope. On the envelope, it says my name, and it says from an anonymous source. And inside the envelope is the money that I need to start my podcast.
What? Do you have any idea who it was?
I have an idea, but it was never confirmed.
Wow. That's pretty cool, man.
And so I came home that night and I said, all right. So I look at them, I see the cash, and I just start laughing. And I'm
You
like,
knew, huh?
I'm like, okay, God, like you win, like let's do this.
Yeah.
So I came home that night, and my podcast Unmasked with Wesley Farnsworth was born.
Awesome,
And
man. Awesome.
the title comes from my story of you got to take off the mask, and
Yep.
and it's okay to not be okay.
Yep.
And that's just kind of it. That's where it comes from. And so now here I am. I have my book and I have my podcast out, and it's growing like wildfire every day. It's daily. I'm gaining new
And
people.
this is from November, buddy.
Yep, this is from November of 25. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean, just gone, man. Wow, awesome. Heck
three
yeah.
month 3 months old now.
Right.
And so now here I am. I have my book out. I have my podcast out, and now God's like, hey, so here's this next book that you're gonna write. And so I'm now finishing my second book that will be out later this year. And so I'm working on that, and I'm sitting in service one Sunday around October, and so the book is coming out. I'm sitting in service, and he's like, God's like, okay, you're doing the podcast, and he says, I want you to, I want you to start speaking. And I was like, well, I'm already doing podcasts. And he's like, no, I want you to start speaking from up there. And he's like a big arrow, kind of pointing to the stage. And I fought him for a week. I was like, that's not me. Like, that's not, he gave me this vision of me like standing on this stage in an arena, talking to people. And I'm like, no, that's not me. Like that's outside of my comfort zone. But he's like, no, this is what I want you to do. And so for a week, I went back and forth with him like a teenager being asked to take out the trash. I'm like, no, that's not me. Like, tell that person to do it. It's their turn.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the next, the next Sunday, I'm sitting in service again, and he's like, "Are you done yet?" And when you think about a dad, or think about your parent, like, "Are you done throwing your temper tantrum yet? Just do it." And so I was like, "Okay, God." I was like, "All right." Like, it scares the living daylights out of me, but yeah. So the next Sunday, it's a week later, and he's like, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, I want you to go up and go up to your pastor and offer to speak for him one Sunday." And I say, "You want me to do what?"
Okay.
And he's like, "That you heard me." And so I was like, "All right." So I did. I went up and I volunteered. And
How did the pastor take that? What did he say? What did he think?
he took it with what he was open to it. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't like, okay, next Sunday you're doing it. But
Is
he
it
was
like
like,
tell your testimony? Is that what you
yeah,
kind of felt like? Like tell your testimony, or
I had no idea.
okay.
I was in the moment, like I had no idea.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But
Man.
he's like, let's just talk about it. Let's explore it a little bit. We can talk about it. Now, what I didn't say was just a few months prior, during my unemployment season, I had some friends um, speaking things into my life.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Two of my friends specifically had been speaking ministry over me.
Wow.
And one of them on occasion would pulpit fill at a local church. And he was like, I think you'd be really good at it. Like you should reach out and offer your to do it. And I was like, no, 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 that's not me. Not me. Nope. And after a few times, I was like, fine, like just to get you off my back, is what I'm thinking. I'm like, I'll do it. So I did. And I reached out and I never heard anything. And I didn't expect to hear anything because
Right.
they didn't know me from Adam.
Right.
Um, but so now here I am on this Sunday and I'm standing up front. I'm talking to the pastor and I'm telling him what God had told me to do. And I went home and I just kind of like reeling from the day, like what just happened. The next morning, my phone rings and it's the church that I had messaged randomly a few months before.
Wow.
And I talked to them for a little while. And by the time we hung up the phone, I was booked for 3 Sundays.
Wow.
And 2 weeks later, another church that I hadn't messaged asked me to come and speak for a few
They
Sundays.
heard about you. Did they hear? They
Um,
just heard about you, huh?
no, they hadn't heard. Like I was not putting it out there, and I still really haven't put it out there all that much.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
but God's opening doors, and
Man, it's awesome, man.
since November, I've been preaching 2 or 3 Sundays a month.
Wow.
Um,
Good for
and it's
you.
just and it's been really transformational in a lot of ways for me in
Yeah.
my own personal walk,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I would think.
now I'm being able to live out and work through and display a lot of the things that I had heard for so long growing up, and I'm able to take the things that I have been through
Right.
and share them in a way that helps other people uh, work through things in their own life.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's been so rewarding just seeing God
Yeah.
open door after door after door. And so that's where I'm at now is I'm available now for speaking engagements and specifically I'm looking to I really have a heart for men's ministry, so I'm looking to do
Cool.
speaking at men's events and
Okay.
conferences around the country,
Yep.
church events, Sunday morning services. But I'm doing speaking stuff. I'm doing my books now. Like I said, my second book will come out this year. The
Excellent.
working title for that is Faith Meets Fire.
Ooh.
Uh,
Okay.
and so
Cool.
that one will kind of explore my story a little bit more and talk about how to navigate faith when you're in fire, right? You're in the
Cool.
middle of the craziness.
Yeah.
Um, so that book will come out later this year. I'm doing the podcast. So I'm just got so many things going on right now that God is definitely keeping me busy.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Man, do you mind if I ask you just a couple kind of questions here and there?
Yeah, man, I'm open.
The manifesting thing, right? What did you grow up believing? Were conservative or super conservative? Did you believe in speaking things out or speaking over people or tongues or healing or?
Yeah, my background is Assemblies of God.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
I believe in speaking in tongues and prophecy and all of
Cool.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely I do believe in all that, and it's just been it's just been really interesting and exciting to be a part of it now.
Yeah. 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 You've got that good base as a kid, that you kind of don't, have this whole question thing, or maybe you do, maybe I went through that, but now, I believe that you believe what people say, it will come to pass.
Yeah.
And if you don't, well, then it doesn't, it won't, because I believe that you manifest your reality if you want to do that, and you can do that. So it's neat, man. It's neat to hear that it's not this crazy, wild nut stuff, but it's too often to be a coincidence, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Like to me, it's just, and I know you're a straight up guy. I mean, you're an honest guy. I can tell. And what happened is what you said, right? You're just
Well,
saying the facts.
and that's kind of why, I have people ask me all the time, like, how can you go and you speak so honestly and openly about your addiction? Like they just can't wrap their head around it.
Right.
And I tell people, I say, one of the things that I've learned is that when you have struggled with something, you have two options. Okay. So option A is you can not say anything.
Mhm.
And you can get freedom from it. You can not say anything and just kind of let it work its way back into the shadows, into the background. But when you do that, now you're in a position where the enemy can get a hold of it again
Right.
because you're not talking about it.
Right.
Right. And so now you have to work up this courage all over again to talk about this thing that you've defeated.
It's kind of like it got cold. It got cold. You got to warm it all up again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the other option is to talk about it and keep it in the light. And when it's in the light, darkness has no power over it.
Good call, man. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this thing in the light and I'm going to talk about it. And, am I ashamed about it? I'm not happy about it,
Yeah.
but I also can't control or I can't change what's happened.
Yeah.
But what I
Yeah.
can do is I can share my journey and hopefully, and share how God has used and worked in my life
Yeah.
and brought me through it to hopefully encourage somebody
Yeah.
else out there that's listening. Because if you're listening to this and you're hearing me share my story right now, it's not by accident.
I agree, man.
Yes,
I fully agree. I don't care how many people are here because the right person is it'll hit the right person when it needs to. I believe that that's why we're here, man.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be pornography, right? You could be, like I
Yeah.
said, you could be struggling with eating cheeseburgers, and it doesn't matter. The outcome is the same. If it's something that needs to change, then talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's where those two communities that I referenced earlier come into play. You've got your positive community and you have your negative community. So let's just use we'll use chewing gum as an example. Okay. So let's just say you're sitting out there and you're like, man, Wes, that sounds great, but I just love my gum, right? I just love it too much. Like I know I need to quit, but I don't know how to do it. Well, you need to first of all give it all to God, right? You first and foremost, He has to be in your corner and be able to do it. Number two, you have to be willing to make the change. You have to want to make the change, because if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. And that's why people are like, man, my uncle or my brother or my mom or my dad or my husband or my best friend twice removed, has this issue and they need to, I'm going to bring them to XYZ recovery so that they can get clean. Well, that's great. But if they don't want it, it's not going to work. The only thing you can do is sit there and support them, right? You can be a part of their community.
Absolutely.
So you have to give it to God. You have to want to change. And then you have to ensure that you have a positive community in your life. So what do I mean when we talk positive and negative community? Okay. So your positive community is going to be that these people in your life that you can be honest with. You can be bare naked honest with, and you can be like, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's why I think I'm struggling with it. I really don't want to chew gum anymore. I just know that it's bad for me. I'm doing it at all the wrong times and it's just too much. And they're going to be like, okay, what can I do to keep you accountable? How can I keep you accountable? And they're not going to come up to you the next day and be like, hey, you want to stick a gum? Right? They're gonna be like, hey, you got gum? Hand it over.
Right? Yeah, right.
They're gonna keep you accountable.
Right.
And they're gonna be the people that you can go up to and be like, hey, I had a stick of gum. And instead of belittling you, they're gonna be like, it's all right. We're gonna get this. Like, we're here to support you.
Yeah.
So that's your
Yeah.
positive community. They're the people that love you, support you, that you can be honest with, and you don't have to worry about being rejected or looked down on or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now you have the negative community. The negative community is going to be the people that are going to be like, hey, you want to stick a gum? I just got this new flavor. Have you seen the new flavor that's out? Man, it's so good. That Bubblicious, woo, man, it's so good. Do you want to try a piece? Right? They're like your dealers. You know, they're the people that, you know, they just encourage you. They enable you. They
Yeah.
you know, or when you talk about what you're trying with, they're like, chewing gum, man, you're weak. Like, that's not an issue, right? They talk down to you. They make you feel bad for wanting to make this change in your life.
Right. Yeah.
That is the negative community. They're the people that you don't have to eliminate from your life, but you do have to distance yourself a little bit from them so that they don't have power over you. Because the closer people are to you and the closer and more vulnerable you get with them, the more power they have over you. So you have to have positive community in your life and not negative community. And again, that's why I go back to with the book, why I did this guide. And I made it available for free because I want you to have a positive community in your life that as you're working through things and you're identifying areas in your life that you know you need to change, now you have positive community there that you can walk alongside you, that you can be honest with and open with and vulnerable with, and they in turn are doing the same thing with you.
Right.
Because that's exactly what I found when I went to Celebrate Recovery for the first time.
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you're like, man, the Celebrate Recovery thing sounds cool, man, I encourage you to check it out. It is a global ministry. It's not local to where I am. It is a global ministry.
Yeah.
You can go out to crlocator.com, plug in your zip code, and you can find the one near you. But it is such a powerful ministry. And I just, I'm not going to say it changed my life, right? Because God changed my life. Yeah. But it was definitely it was a catalyst for sure. It gave me the community and it gave me the structure that I needed in order to be able to experience the freedom that God had for me. And if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for that freedom, I would not be sitting where I am today, and we would not be having this conversation.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So is that what Celebration Recovery is about? Is a positive community, as you call it? Is that a term they use as well?
It's not a term they use. No, it's just a term that I came up with recently, and it's just the best way for me to be able to explain the two different types of community.
Yeah, that's that's what the Conquerors crew is. It's a positive community. We don't care what your problem is or what your issue is. We just want to support you to get over it and celebrate with you that you do. And I mean, man, it's awesome. I love doing this show, man. I mean, I've had quadriplegics on here to people with a lot, health issues was kind of the main thing because I had cancer 3 times, but and it's been people that have done drugs and you and doctors and nurses. I mean, it's just I love it, man.
My podcast is the same way. My podcast, people come on and they share about the challenges in life that they've been through and have overcome because of God. I've had CEOs, I've had drug dealers, I've had, I had one guy that was shot and left for dead. I've had, like I said, I've had drug dealers that have now had 40 plus years of ministry traveling the world. Wow. I've had people that have overcome abuse and rape and like all of these different things that you would like. I kid you not, some of the stories that you'll hear on my podcast, like there's one in particular, I'm not going to give details out, but there's one in particular that it was like it was a TV script written for a movie. Like it was a script written for a movie or this TV show. Like you'd be like I didn't think that actually happened. This type of stuff actually happened. And so the stories that I've been able to give people this platform to be able to share that otherwise would not have been able to share. It's just so awesome to be able to be a part of. And it's because of because they know that it's a safe place and I have a positive community and that they have the support. And so it's just so awesome. I'm just
Yeah.
loving what I'm doing.
I can tell, man. It comes through genuinely, man. It really does. I mean, you're a calm guy. It seems like you're a pretty even keel guy, and that's your kind of your nature. But God, man, I can feel the happiness, and I'm happy for you, man, because people just struggle their entire lives trying to find their happiness, man. So hard,
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're happy, if you like your job and you're happy doing your job, you're beating like 70-80% of the people I think out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, hey, man. Like anything that you haven't said that you want to cover that's a major point or something that people always ask you that you haven't talked about today?
Yeah. I'll just leave you with this. But before I leave this, I just want to mention again the website, wesleyfarnsworth.com/start. Go out there. You can find a link to my book. You can find a link to my podcast, or you can plug in your email and get the free guide for my book if that's what you want to do. But either way, you can go out there and find out more information about me for my coaching, speaking. And it's one thing that I say time and time again when I'm doing podcast interviews, I'm on my own podcast, is this. And if you're out there and you're listening, I want you to stop what you're doing right now. And I want you to listen very carefully and hear me when I say this, because I believe it's for you. You are not defined by what you've done. You are not defined by how you were brought up. You are not defined by what other people think or say about you. You are only defined by who you say you are, and more importantly, who God says that you are. And I am living proof of that. If I had let my past, my addiction, define me in my life, I would not have my book out. I would not have my podcast out. I would not be speaking right now. And I would not be walking in the freedom and the happiness that I am walking in today.
Yeah.
So I don't care what it is you're struggling with. I don't care what it is that's happened to you. You are loved. You are wanted. You are appreciated. And you are not defined by whatever that was.
Love it, man. That's good stuff, man. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So, let's see here. You got your podcast going on.
Yep.
And you got your book going on, and your self guides that are part of your website, and you're all over social media. You got most of those. Is there one of those that you're more active on, that you communicate more with people on, or how can people get a hold of you and get in touch with you? Your website, I would imagine, right?
Yep. You can go to the website, wesleyfarnsworth.com. You can find me there. But I'm on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok. I update my podcast. My podcast handle is the most active out of them all. I post every single week, multiple times a week on all of those platforms for my podcast, and then my speakers page. I have a speaking profile as well where I post updates about my book and when I'm out speaking and doing that type of stuff, and those are updated. I'm trying to get better about updating those, but those are typically updated at least once every week or two.
Okay. What what part of the country do you live in now, man? I'm not sure.
I'm in Iowa.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and man, I have driven through Iowa about 15 or 20 times going to Mayo Clinic in Rochester.
Yep.
Yep. How's the weather? Is it chilly up there right now?
Oh man, is it cold? we're under
Yeah.
blizzard warning right now. So
Yeah, man. Gee whiz. Are you a football fan or
I am.
basketball fan? Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. My dad's one of my dad's best friends lives down the road. They play golf together. He's from Iowa. And you know, we all like Caitlin Clark then.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm more of a football fan, and it's more college football.
Yeah.
But I'm not an Iowa fan. I'm a University of Michigan fan. So
Okay. Okay.
go
Fair enough,
blue.
man. Fair enough. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. You cheering for your roots, man. Cheering for your roots, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Good for you, man. Anything you'd like to leave you with or anything?
I think I've said it all. I mean, if you got more questions, I'm an open book. I'm happy to talk and share.
I'm good. You know, we're at about an hour, and that's what I kind of try to do and respect people's time and stuff like that. So, yeah, we did get started a few minutes late, but man, I think we covered it. It was awesome. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Really greatly appreciated. And, stick around. We'll stick around after we go off and talk for a second. Yeah, let me take us out of here, man. And as we always do, and we used to do on X, God bless you all. Godspeed to you the rest of the week. And never forget that grit don't quit. We're out.